I watched that a little bit and I said, that's a strange deal going on with the kidnapping of the governor. And it's got some weird answers coming out, so I assume we're going to find out at least something about what happened. You know, it all started when I said, somebody's spying on my campaign. Do you remember that? I put it out very innocently. And I actually said, I think that Obama is spying on my campaign. I turned out to be right. That was right. And then we've caught him. And now let's see what happens with all of these people that got caught, whether it's Durham and what happened and what came out of there so far. Hopefully that's just very preliminary. But even if you take a look preliminarily, that's a terrible thing that happened. They made up Russia, Russia, Russia. It was all a hoax. Think of it. They're after people to put them in jail, and yet they know they made up a hoax. So they want to put people in jail for a hoax that they made up.
But here's the thing, our Department of Justice is implicit in all this, right? The FISA warrant, like that is not a warrant that should have ever been granted. So this is why I'm hinting at this, because we're recognizing now that the corruption that we're talking about, maybe we thought it was surface when you got elected. Now we're realizing that it runs much deeper.
Deep-seated.
And much worse than we ever thought it was. And how do we get the Americans to feel that faith has been restored in these institutions under your leadership?
Well, when you look at things, how about the fourth man in the Department of Justice? His wife is working for Fusion GPS, writing bad stuff. And you say, what's going on there? There's so many different things, and it's very deep. You know, they say deep state. I don't want to call it any specific name, because when you say deep state, they say you're a
conspiracy theorist. Yeah.
Conspiracy theorist. And I say, well, that's a little bit too bad. No, you have many, many things, and this is years and years of people being embedded through different presidents. Clinton, Bush. Look, you say some of these people from the Bush administration are almost worse than Democrats. I don't know if you know that, but I think you do.
I do.
Some of them, and you least suspect it. So in a way, you don't have your guard up quite as much. But we have some real bad people. We also have some very good people, in all fairness. We have some great people that hate what's going on, and they do things about what's going on. But I will say this, we were cleaning things up, and we were cleaning them up at a rapid pace, and then an election took place where we were leading at 10 o'clock in the evening. I thought it was over. Everyone thought it was over. I got a call from Karl Rove. I'm not a big fan of his. He said, congratulations, sir, about 9:30 in the evening. Congratulations, sir, you've just won. I said, thank you very much, Karl. That's very nice. And then they closed various counting facilities, to put it nicely, right? Where they say, you know, you ever hear the expression, sometimes the counter is more important than the candidate, right? And sometimes a lot more important than the candidate. But they closed, and then all of a sudden, you see numbers coming in. They say, that's a strange thing.
Oh, listen, I was there that night, and I remember feeling exactly that way. I went to sleep, said, this election's over, woke up, and some magic happened, I guess, some wizardry happened in the middle of the night, and I agree with you on that, and which is why I want to talk about this entire ecosystem of corruption.
By the way, excuse me, you look at Pennsylvania that night, it was like, the lead was impossible. You couldn't.
Wouldn't call Florida.
And all of a sudden, they wouldn't call Florida, and I had a big lead. They wouldn't call Florida, they wouldn't call a lot of different states. And then they called Arizona early, and now you see what's been found in Arizona. The corruption was unbelievable. You look at the findings of the report, and other things will come out. It was a really, you know, all of my life I said, oh, this is the home of the free. This is great elections, free and fair elections. So we learned a couple of things over the last number of years. Number one, the press is among the most dishonest group of people ever, anywhere, no matter what. They're corrupt. And number two, we have corrupt elections. And we've got to straighten out the elections. And you're only going to straighten out the press if you allow people to sue with a meaningful law. So if they write libelous and terrible things, they don't want that to happen. They don't want that because they want to do it the way they're doing it.
New York Times versus Sullivan should be reversed.
It should be reversed.
Absolutely.
And I think Justice Thomas is saying, like, I think it should be reversed, or he made a statement to that effect. But if they write something totally malicious, libelous, whatever you want to call it, your lawyers will tell you don't bother suing because you can't sue.
Because you're
if you want to straighten out the press, give us the right to sue. Give people the right to sue the press where it's meaningful, where they have to pay a big penalty when they get caught. Because they're caught all the time. You have to be able to do something about it.
I agree.